What's up, my Lavish family? How we doing? Turn that music off in the background. There we go. Move Your Body. That's a really good song. Well, how we doing? It's been a minute, and I wanted to jump on here and share some extremely valuable information and wisdom I've gathered through a couple engagements that I've had today. I have these engagements every day, but today was really just a profound day for me. So it encouraged me to recap on this and share it with everyone. So I had a meeting today with a good friend of mine, Pat, who started a company, B-Town Clean, several years ago. Gosh, it's got to have been 12, 13 years ago. Anyway, so I have always respected his business acumen and the way that he created his company. So I called him to pick his brain on some things in the way of outreach to customers and how you market yourself and what your best results were and best practices. One of the principles that I chose to utilize in this conversation was the listening method. So I had a few questions that I had put in my mind. I didn't write them down, but I had them solid in my mind, just a few simple questions. And then I would listen. I get in the habit of wanting to talk in these engagements because it's a subconscious means of building gratification and satisfaction for yourself when you talk to people and tell them all the things that you're doing and what you're great at, what successes you had, in lieu of actually listening to the answers you get from your question. And I have a habit of doing that. I always have. And, I work on it. I'm aware of it, and that's a good thing. But today I really wanted to get the most value out of this conversation. And I knew that that would be from shutting my mouth and listening to the response to my questions. So the first question that I had was, where did you get most of your leads when you started your cleaning company? And he started by saying most of my leads were digital. So it was a digital presence, and I got most of my leads from online. He said that he made sure that he put his company information, contact information, in places that were relevant to the services that he was selling, which were cleaning services. So I believe that he started out just doing, individual cleanings, things like that. Now he's worked his way up to commercial and has done really well for himself. And so I'm really grateful for that information. But the most powerful thing that he said was, we used Angie's List and whatever the home advisor. We used Google ads, and none of those were really successful in comparison to being available in a digital space. So having a digital footprint where people could inquire and connect with his services on a digital platform, which is extremely powerful for me. And the reason why I was asking the question, because I am starting back up my Livish digital marketing agency. So hugely profound in what first steps he was successful at. Obviously, there's been a lot of people that have had success, going into networking groups and things like that. But this was very profound to me because I am, in fact, building a digital marketing company. And so that's going to be profound for me and my clients moving forward to know how powerful the digital marketing space is to get clients. And obviously those are people that are reaching out to him based off his ads and their inquiry. So he's more likely to have conversion there with that value being aligned with his services. So that was the first most valuable thing. He went into what his method was regarding the digital market space and his presence there. He said, I always appeared bigger than I was and bigger than I am. And the relevance to that, or what he means by that, is that his company always portrayed themselves as someone who could facilitate more work than he thought that he really could handle. He would just figure it out, which there's nothing really wrong with that at all, because what that does to appear bigger or more capable than what you may actually be, from a reality standpoint, is that it gives comfort in the person who is pursuing your service to have faith that you'll get the job done. And sometimes when you're a really small company, a person would prefer a larger company for a myriad of reasons, and mainly because they want someone who's experienced and knows how to do it. And they're really falsely secure in the fact that because they're a larger company, they must do the job better, which in my experience is absolutely untrue and unwarranted. Now, do they have more experience? Most likely, yes. But that doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to do a better job or be able to handle the job you have for them better than a smaller company. So that appearing bigger then led into his statement that he came up with that strategy when he was watching something about Navy SEALs, where they always appeared bigger than what they actually were. And he gave this scenario where, 5 Navy SEALs, a small unit, which they are, elite unit at that, but they would be up against maybe 25 enemy combatants. And the method that they had to appear bigger than what they actually were was to continuously lay down fire. So no breaks in fire, no sounds of reloading, no sounds of silence, a continuous barrage of fire. So essentially there would be 5 of them. 2 would move towards a position while the other 3 fired. Those 2 would then get to their position, immediately open fire. As soon as they open fire, the remaining 3 Navy SEALs would follow to that position or another designated position while reloading and getting into position. Once they got into position, they would continue to fire. And then if they needed to move forward, the other 2 would move, and then so on and so forth and on repeat, which I thought was absolutely incredible. He said he applied that strategy to his digital market space. He wanted to make sure that he was in view in the right market space. So in the right platforms, the right digital spaces that were relevant to his service, again, which was cleaning, which is extremely powerful, simple, but powerful. So that leads me on to value for value, right? So when someone gives you value, you should always want to get you should always offer an exchange of value. Not necessarily that it has to be done, but it's good practice to offer value with value if it fits well in that scenario. So in this scenario, I've always been a talker. I've always been someone who is uplifting. I've always been someone who's extremely supportive of the efforts of other individuals. And I've always seen, I don't want to say the true self because that would be my own opinion, but a better them than they see themselves. I know that people can be better than what they view themselves because most people inherently doubt themselves and think less of themselves than what they actually are. So I like to highlight values in other people and the things that they're doing. It's something that makes me feel good. It's something that makes others feel good. It just creates an overall good sense of relationship, a good relationship between one another, whether it's a stranger or somebody you've known forever. So with that said, the value for value, he gave me a lot of valuable information, which again, I learned and really was able to absorb that information and ended up immediately passing that off to one of the other people that I'm working with on a project. And it gave value to him. So again, it was just profound. So in that conversation, after we had the conversation, he led on to talking about how, everything is good in life. As I asked him about what was going on in his life and how he was doing, he said, everything's really good. I made a comment and a compliment about his physique. He had posted a picture on social media in his story, and he was looking very toned and very fit, had some veins popping out. He was really getting it. I'm really proud of him for that. So I made sure to let him know that. And as soon as I said that, he said, yeah, I know, man, I'm just trying to get in there every day. Today I had a really weak day at the gym, but I'm going. I said, I have this conversation with myself often. And I actually had it 6 a.m. in the gym this morning with myself. I'm sitting there and I've gone through these exercises, and I had intended to do a specific set of core exercises. And I got into about 2 or 3 of them, and I just really didn't feel like I had a lot of energy left. So I just sat there and I laid there. And I've learned to get comfortable just laying there, just being there and existing in that element, letting my thoughts come over me. What do I want to do next? Do I want to add more value to this? Do I want to push myself farther, or have I done enough? Am I good with what I've done? And do I feel good with the effort that I put in? And that it took a long time for me. And it takes a long time for most people to accept that just showing up is 9/10 of anything. If you show up to something, you're at least there. You have to be there to be able to move forward on the objectives that you have. And I think that it's really important that we reward ourselves for just showing up, and that it's okay if you don't have an exemplary day, or a day where you put out a ton of sets and lift a bunch of weight and work out for 2 hours. You don't have to do that. Being there consistently and putting in the effort that you have at the moment, pushing yourself is one thing, but being there and showing up and at least doing something is much better than most people do, especially when you compound that over time. Consistency over time. So be happy about just showing up. Accept just showing up is enough. It's more than enough, because it's more than what most people do. And it is something that will continue to serve you well over life, as long as you just get in the habit of showing up, because showing up is activity, or is action that leads to activity, and your life will open up. The more you show up, the more your life opens up, the more opportunities you'll get, the better you'll feel about yourself, the more you'll learn, the more comfortable you'll feel in your own body. So accept those small wins, because those small wins lead to huge gains. Again, just showing up is absolutely okay. And I hope that, today, whatever it is, if you're not feeling like show up, just show up. You don't even have to be great. You don't have to look great. You don't have to feel strong. You don't have to feel confident. Just show up. So hopefully this video added some value for you guys, and I'm excited to give some more wisdom and share some more experiences with you in the future. Stay live-ish.